This is a video for a Saturn S-Series ball joint replacement or a control arm and ball joint assembly replacement. Tools required are going to be a 15mm wrench, a 15mm socket, and a 24mm socket, and also a 3/8 ratchet and an 18mm wrench. You will need pliers and a pair of dikes as well. It's preferable that you have both of them. Now, if you happen to notice your ball joint looks something like this, as you can see clearly, this ball joint needs to be replaced. So that's what we're going to focus on. I'm going to show you how to do this rather quickly and rather easily. It shouldn't take long at all. Okay, the first thing we want to do is remove our tire, obviously. Hopefully you have your jack stands under the vehicle after it has been raised, and you want to remove your tire. It's that simple. As always, I am cheating. I am using a 1/2 inch impact in order to remove my tire. Once you've removed your tire, you want to get on the back side and look at your ball joint. And if you notice there's a little hole highlighted by the arrow right here, you want to remove the cotter pin. This is where the cotter pin used to be, and this is what you want to remove. And after you've removed that, then we'll go on to the next step. Now the next thing you want to do is get yourself an 18mm wrench like you see here, and you're going to be actually using that on your nut. Now, using your wrench, you want to use the box end wrench to break the nut loose, just to break it loose. Hopefully you can get it in there between the CV axle and the stud itself. If not, you're going to have to use the open end of the wrench itself. And the reason why you want to use the open end wrench itself is because as you back it off, you're probably going to get it caught between the CV axle and the strut itself. And you're not going to be able to remove that nut completely because the CV axle is going to be in the way, and we don't want to do any more work than we have to. So in other words, we don't want to remove the CV axle. You want to back the nut off as much as you can. You should be able to back it off completely, but you just can't remove it because the CV axle is in the way, and I'm going to show you how to get around that. Now that you have the nut backed off, you want to get on the back side of the ball joint with a ball joint separator. You may have to manually separate the ball joint with a hammer and a ball joint separator, or you can cheat like I like to do in my videos using a ball joint separator adapter in my air chisel. Now, as you're about to see, this is a long process. It takes forever to get the ball joint separated from the hub itself, as you're about to see. This takes a while to do, and there goes your nut, goes flying. This is why I like to use air tools. They go a lot quicker if you have air tools. Even if you have a small compressor, things go a lot quicker. Hopefully this will speed things up for you. Now we're going to work on getting the bushing that's bolted to the frame loose. In order to get it loose, we're going to use an 18mm on one side. That's the side that actually has the nut on it. And then we're going to use a 15mm wrench, and that's going to be on the bolt side itself. Now you're going to have to work at this. This is a long and drawn out process. It is a pain in the butt to get this bolt out. I'm not going to lie, it is a royal pain. You may have to use another wrench on another wrench like you're about to see here. And you can do that for leverage enough to break the bolt free. Then you should be able to, after you break the bolt free, be able to get away with using one wrench. You may skin a knuckle or two doing this. I know I did. Like I said, this is a long and drawn out process, and it will be a pain. Now, there is a way around this if you don't want to use wrenches. If you happen to have sockets, then I will show you the right size sockets that you're going to be needing in order to do this. As you can see, if you put it on the other way, it doesn't help. Now, if you happen to have a socket set, it's going to make things go a lot quicker. As you can see, it's a 15mm socket, 3/8 drive. 1/2 inch is a little bit too bulky. That's why I stuck with 3/8. And what I'm going to do is I'm using a 3/8 ratchet with an extended long handle on a 15mm socket. And this will actually make things actually go a lot quicker, and it'll be a lot faster in order to get this bolt out. It's important to note that you're going to have to keep constant tension on this bolt as you're removing it. You may have to use a pry bar underneath the bushing itself in order to get it removed. And I will speed the video up so that way you can actually see how it's being removed. I'm not going to talk through the whole thing, and I'm not going to make you watch the whole removal of this because it'll take forever. Now, as you can see in the video, I have sped it up just a tad, and I was talking about keeping tension on it as you're removing it. Like I said, I sped the video up so that way you wouldn't get bored watching it. And you want to try to remove this, and you might have to use a pry bar. You can see me fidgeting with it a little bit. You'll know when you get it loose when you use your pry bar and the bolt starts to come out, like you're seeing here. It's real simple. Now, like I said before, you're going to have to work at this, and I've sped the video up so you don't get bored watching me take it out. You do have to lift up on the bushing in order to get it out. You just have to keep working at it. It will fight you coming out, plan on it. But eventually it will come out. Now you're going to have to remove your nut from your bushing, and to do that we're going to use a 24 millimeter socket. Now, as usual, I am going to cheat and use an air impact. You can use a socket and a ratchet, but you're going to have to put the nut back on the ball joint to keep it stable. And basically, that's how quick and easy it is to do. Remove your washer, make sure you don't lose it. Now we're going to put our new one back on. Before we do that though, we have to remove this plastic piece. Some of them have plastic. In order to do that, you just loosen your nut, take the plastic piece off, throw it to the side, and now we're going to try to install this. It's rather simple. You want to line it up with your frame, as you can see here, and start lining it up on the stud, just like this. Real simple. And then what you're going to want to do is kind of wiggle it a little bit. As you can see, it's going on there just perfectly, no problem. So it shouldn't be an issue for you whatsoever. Make sure you put your washer back on. See where it's nice and shiny in one place. Put it back on the same way that you took it off. And you're not shiny in one place. Obviously, that's the side that's going to go against your washer. Now, you only need to do this hand tight. It's rather simple. You don't want to tighten it yet. And then line up your frame and your bushing. It's that simple. Now comes the fun part. Now we want to put our bolt in the bushing by the frame. As you can see here, you got plenty of wiggle room. We're going to go ahead and put our bolt. You might have to push on it and lift up on it, up and down. As you can see, I'm pushing on it, and there we go. It's real simple. Again, we're going to put our nut on, and that's the 18 millimeter nut. Of course, the other side happens to be the 15 millimeter. Now we're going to take a wrench, like I just had stated. We're going to take our 18 and we're going to put it on the left side here, as you can see. And then we're going to take our 15 millimeter. Now you can use a socket or you can use your wrench, whichever you prefer. You can use an air impact, but you're going to have to use a swivel in order to get it on. And you're going to want to tighten this down. So from here on out, I'm going to speed up the video so you don't have to watch this long and drawn out process. Now you're going to take a pry bar, if you have one, hopefully you do, and put it underneath the frame and on top of the cross member. As you can see here, I'm doing it slowly. And you're going to pry downward. As you can see, your stabilizer is moving up and down. Hopefully your car's not rocking too bad, kind of like mine. And what that does is lift the ball joint up and down. As you can see from this here, this is giving you another view so you can see how the ball joint actually moves up and down. And this is actually how you're going to install your ball joint, the threads right there, into the little hole to get it back in and get it lined up. It's that simple. Now with one hand, as you pry down with your pry bar, as you can see here, we're actually going to line up the hole just like that. See how easy that is? We haven't tightened down that nut yet. It's just hand tighten. You're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit. Hopefully you don't booger your threads or mess them up. As you can see, our threads have already started showing through for the most part. Now we can go ahead and get our nut started on the top. As you can see here, it's rather quick and it's rather simple. Just make sure you put your nut on properly, as you can see, with the notches facing upward, not downward. That's how you actually want to put it on there. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't have a grease fitting on the bottom. Neither did the old one. Lasted 200,000 miles, so I'm not worried about it. Now what we want to do is that hand tighten nut, we want to tighten it all the way. And I'm going to cheat, as usual, using our 24mm socket on an air impact. And I'm going to tighten it as much as I can get it with this. And then I'm going to follow it with a socket and a ratchet to make sure it's nice and tight. Normally I'd say go ahead and use a wrench, but if it slips, you're going to skin a knuckle or two and it's going to hurt. I guarantee it. And you can see me following it up here. It's rather simple. Now we're going to work on our ball joint nut that happens to be on top of the stud. And we're going to get that hand tight, as you can see here. Then we're going to follow it up with our open end part of our wrench. See, I can get the box end on there, but the problem is if I keep doing that, there's a possibility I may or may not get it out of there as I tighten it up and the stud comes up. So you want to use the open-ended part if at all possible. That's, again, our 18mm that we're using here. I'm going to speed this video up so you don't have to watch this in kind of like slow motion. Okay, the next thing we need to do is put our cotter pin in. Put your cotter pin in. If it doesn't line up right away, don't worry about it. It's nothing to really worry about. What we can do is compensate by putting our wrench on there and turning it just slightly until we can get our cotter pin in there. You might have to wiggle it a little bit to get it to line up properly, but it will go in there. Now, to show you what it looks like from the other side, this is where your dikes and your pliers are going to come in hand. As you can see, it's straight through the other side. I tried getting in there with pliers just to bend it just a little bit, or you can do the same thing with dikes. And then you can go in there with your hands. If your hands are all torn up like mine are, instead of using pliers, you can use pliers, don't worry about it. The biggest thing is to make sure that this is bent so that the nut can't back itself off. It's that simple. As you can see, I'm using my hands because my hands are all torn up from working on God only knows how many vehicles, and that's simple enough. Just something simple like this is enough to keep that nut from backing off. It's that simple. Well, that's the end of the video, and hopefully it helps somebody out. Again, here's a refresher for the tools that you're going to need. If you have any problems with your Saturns, please visit the link down below in yellow, saturnfans.com/forums. You can find me on those forums under the username of Campus189. I welcome any comments or suggestions, and I hope I can help somebody with this video. Thanks for watching.